Super Mario Bros. Is one of the most famous games ever made, and that's quite fair. Often credited for saving the whole video game scene over in America, this game was a tie-in game with the NES, which, really did help it. Most people were buying the NES for this game, that's just how powerful it was. Now, what's the next logical step after making one of the most popular games ever made, you may ask? Why, making a sequel, sharing most of the same assets and being far too difficult. Oh, yeah, Super Mario Bros. 2 didn't exactly, do well. So instead of sending it out everywhere worldwide, they instead repackaged a game that already existed, being Doki Doki Panic. Now, well, this was a good thing, as, it introduced us to Shy Guys and Birdo, I guess. It still did suck for everyone that they didn't get the proper sequel to this game. So we then go to Super Mario Bros. 3, where it was actually released worldwide, because, they made a new game. And new it was, with a bunch of new mechanics, new power-ups. It had an actual world map now, where you could use power-ups on said world map. It was a giant leap from the first game. And that's despite it being on the same system. The next game from the 2D Mario series is instead on the handheld, which was good old Super Mario Land. This game kind of returned to what the first Super Mario Bros. Game was, where it was a lot more simpler. You just had a couple worlds to get to the end. In fact, I'm pretty sure it had less worlds than the original game. It may have its fans, but it's definitely aged poorly. Something that can't quite be said for Super Mario World. Super Mario World is a lot of people's favorite games of all time, which, first of all, that's a bit strange. Sure, it's amazing, but there's been other good games. It built upon what 3 had introduced, other than removing the ability to use power-ups in the overworld, which doesn't quite make sense to me. But even without that, it still did manage to introduce a whole heaping load of new stuff to the game, while still being quite a good length. There is a lot to do in this game. I mean, if you really look at it, looking at all the secret entrances and exits levels, looking at all the secret levels in general, there's just so much. Now, after this we got Super Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins, and this game introduced Wario, okay? This is where Wario comes from. That's all I really need to say about this game. Also is kind of in between 1 and 3, a 2 if you will, where while it did have the world map, it wasn't nearly as detailed, and while it was definitely a big step up from 1, it was still quite simplistic. So after the release of 2 really good 2D titles, everyone was on the edge of their seats going, what's next for Mario? And well, nothing in 2D. Yes, Super Mario 64 released, and was amazing. It's a landmark title, it's really important for 3D games, and many of them today do share some elements you can see in this. While 3D games had been done before, Mario 64 redefined them. It made it clear, this is what is expected, this is the norm. Now, this focus on 3D for the main big systems left it down to the handhelds to be where 2D is thriving. However, they didn't exactly do that. Sure, over the rest of the Game Boy Color's life and the Game Boy Advance's life, we got more 2D games, such as from Kirby and Wario Land, which really became the replacement for 2D Mario, but we didn't actually get any new 2D Mario games. I mean, sure, we had the Super Mario Advance series, but there was nothing new in those really, it was more just remakes. Okay, well, the one Super Mario Advance, I forget which one it is, but the one that was remake of 3 did introduce new levels with the scan cards for the e-reader, but nobody counts that, let's be honest. Now, cut to the DS, where Nintendo wants to make a system that more people can get into. You know, we aren't at the levels of Wii, where we want everybody who isn't a gamer to come in, but they're at that level where they want more new people to kind of come into it. So they think, what's the smartest thing to do? And the answer is quite obvious. Make more 2D Mario games. So in 2006, roughly a year after the DS's launch, we got New Super Mario Bros. A game with a very ironic title because it's now 16 years old. However, at the time, that new really did fit, as well, it was a new Super Mario Bros. Game. Featuring all the power-ups you remember, unless you played 3, featuring many of the other bits you remember, unless you remember Yoshi. Look, this game didn't exactly feature every single small little feature and every single small little bit from the previous games, however, it still did introduce a fair amount of new stuff on its own, and brought back Mario in 2D. While compared to its subsequent sequels, it may look a little bit generic nowadays, it was still completely brand new back in the day. This game sold really well, and that's entirely fair, as it was a great gateway for some people to get into gaming. The thing about 2D games is that they're always quite simple, well, most of them are, where you go from left to right. It's a concept most people can immediately grasp. Even if they don't play the game well, they can still understand that the main objective is get to this area here from where you are. Due to this game's success and really well reviews and all that goodness, they then made a sequel to this on the Wii. New Super Mario Bros. Wii finally brought 2D Mario back to the home console, which was something that we hadn't seen since Super Mario World. And speaking of Super Mario World, this game brought back Yoshi's. This game was really well received at the time, however looking at it now, it is a bit bland. The game didn't really introduce that many new mechanics. Sure, there's a couple of new power-ups, there's a couple of new funny tilt controls and stuff like that, but there wasn't anything major that was new. It reused the same worlds and levels from the previous game, with new designs of course. It reused even like power-ups and stuff. There was quite a lot that wasn't new. It even brought back the Koopalings, which, while cool at the time, with them being in every single game afterwards, it's made it look a little bit less cool. One of the key things this game did introduce, however, was 4 players at the same time in normal levels. While New Super Mario Bros. Did have a game mode where you could play as 2 people at once, it was in a more versus mode type thing. While here, you could play every single level in the game with 3 other people, which sounds fun, but no it isn't. After this, Nintendo decided to make 2 New Super Mario Bros. Games within the same year. Now, that is a horrendous idea, especially considering the fact that these 2 games are very, very similar. New Super Mario Bros. 2 is a game, I can't really say more about it. It has the same levels, it has, well, level world type things, it has the same power-ups other than bringing back the leaf from the 3rd game. Same songs, same thing, just same everything really. It was a sequel, much like how Super Mario Bros. 2 was, where they just reused everything but changed up the levels. The only big thing this game had going for it was its coin theme, however, there was nothing to do with the coins. Like, sure, you could try and get to 100, or, well, 1,000,000 would be the more interesting one to get to. 100 is what's in, like, every level. Or you could try maxing it out completely, which is pointless, but you can try it. And New Super Mario Bros. U was... yeah. For the first game Mario's been in where he's HD, this wasn't exactly, well, great. It honestly felt a lot like New Super Mario Bros. Wii, from the art style to the songs to the level locations being the same to Yoshi's not being able to leave levels, which I should have said during the Wii portion. Sure, it introduced baby Yoshi's and it had the, what was it, acorn power-up? But like the thing about the acorn power-up is that it's extremely similar to the parallel suit that we saw on Wii. Like look, you do a thing, you get a boost, and then you slowly glide down. And like, even the slowly gliding down part was just the leaf from 3. And the cape from World. Except that wasn't really slowly gliding down, but still. Now, it seems like Nintendo finally got the message that people weren't really enjoying these games as they kept feeling more and more the same, so they did the most logical thing and didn't make any more. It's been 9 years since the last New Super Mario Bros. Game, and that does kind of suck. Sure, the games felt really samey, but they still were quite enjoyable. You know, just because you're doing a bad job in making sequels doesn't mean that the game series doesn't deserve more sequels. So that's what I want to talk about in today's video. I would like to bring up what I would like to see in a new Super Mario Bros. Game. Okay, before I start, first thing I want to see, just get rid of the new. So yeah, let's get into point 1. The first major change that I'd like to see is to get some new music. So many of these games share the same songs but remixed to sound slightly better or in some cases slightly worse like the 2, and it's just annoying. Look at Mario Kart. Look at Paper Mario. Look at Mario & Luigi. All these games have such amazing soundtracks with a whole different range of instruments and tones and just everything else. And then you look at the new Super Mario Bros. Series. These games have been criticized for having such a similar soundtrack, which is fair because it's disgusting. Music is one of the best things Nintendo has always done. Like, no matter what game you're looking at, you're gonna find one good song. And while that's still true for New Super Mario Bros., it is still annoying just how similar they sound. So, yeah, for one of the first big changes I'd like to see, just make songs that are new, or if you're gonna just use old songs, make them sound different. Use new instruments, use different speeds, like maybe get a song that one's relaxing but make it really tense. Like in the New Super Mario Bros. U, for the final area, like the very final area, which is Peach's Castle but taken over by Bowser, they take the Mario 64 song, Peach's Castle, and just make it sound like a Bowser level. And that's good. If you're going to use songs that you have already used in previous New Super Mario Bros. Games or have previously used in previous games, make them sound new, add something new to them. Another example is, look at Mario Kart 8, okay? Now, in this game we have Wario Stadium from DS, and if you didn't know, Wario Stadium in DS actually uses the same music as Waluigi Pinball. When porting this track to 8, instead of making it just stay the same or upgrading it to sound like Waluigi Pinball, they instead made it to fit a lot more with what Wario Stadium looks like. And once again, if Mario Kart, one of your side series, can do it, really, the main series can too. I know New Super Mario Bros. Isn't technically the main series, but like, the 2D and 3D Mario games are the ones that stay the most samey, kind of. They're the ones that the spin-offs build off of, you know? And the ones that the Paper Mario team are only allowed to take from. One of the best ways to differentiate yourself from something is with a gimmick. Now, gimmicks aren't always necessarily a bad thing, it's only a bad thing when it's an active hindrance on the actual gameplay. Now, New Super Mario Bros. 2 did try to do a gimmick with the whole coin thing, however, it didn't exactly go well, mostly because it's coins that you can't use for anything. Like, sure, you can make the counter keep going up till you've got 1 million coins, or 9 million coins, or maxing it out completely, but, you know, there's not much else to it other than that. Not only that, but it also kind of was a hindrance on the game, as due to the amount of coins and how you still only need 100 to get a new life, by the time you've ended World 1, you've just got maxed out lives already. So a new gimmick could be an interesting way to differentiate yourself, and make it seem less like you're just a new Super Mario Bros. Game. God, that's still an annoying thing to say. An idea that I've had is enemy fusions, where Bowser gets magic or something to make brand new enemy combinations, such as, say, a Boo and a Koopa. You know, when you're looking at it, it hides its shell, which means it takes longer for it to start chasing after you, but when it is chasing after you, it's much faster than a Boo. Maybe a Chain Chomp Bullet Bill, where it fires out like a normal Bullet Bill, but then its head will jut out at you. You know, just something like that. That way, you don't have to make new enemies per se, you can just reuse your old ideas, however it's still an interesting new concept, you can even bring that into the bosses. Speaking of the bosses, just stop it with the Koopalings, please, okay? Now, the Koopalings were introduced in 3 as Bowser's children, and then brought back in World. Then they're brought back in Wii, which was cool, and then they're reused in 2, and then reused in U, and have just been the main staple of Mario ever since. People are getting sick of these things, and that is entirely fair, because they just keep being used. You can't even escape them in the side games, like in Paper Mario and Mario & Luigi Paper Jam, they were the main bosses for a lot of the game. Like, at least Paper Jam had some other ones interlaced in, but even then, it's Paper Jam, so they weren't exactly interesting. Other than King Bob-omb, okay? He was great. But still, this is really bad. So what should Nintendo do? Why, they should do what they did in DS. A game that is already released, and they made years ago, and was the first of the New Super Mario Bros. Games, where you make new bosses. Other than Bowser at the end and having Bowser Jr. as the boss in every single mini tower, or tower, I forget what they're properly called, you had new and interesting bosses. You had the big Goomba guy, you had the funny Pokey, but he was a mummy as well, you had that one dude in the tank. You know, these are new things. Not only that, but it also allows for much more interesting and varied attacks. When you're dealing with Koopalings, they are Koopas with magic wands. Sure, you can have them do a bunch of different things with said magic wands, but it's gonna be kind of annoying thinking of a new gimmick for them each game, or annoying for us playing it if you just use them in the exact same way for each game. Look, if you have to include them in the game, just put them as the side bosses, you know, the ones in the towers, or maybe you fight all of them at once in a big gauntlet level right before Bowser or something, just something like that instead of, you know, every single world you have to deal with them. However, if you do put them into the towers, then, oh, where's Boom Boom gonna go? I don't care. Boom Boom was introduced in 3, wasn't brought back for World, and was brought back in Wii, and then reused in Wii U. Now, I don't think they were used in 2, but I haven't played that game in ages other than footage for this video, which only covers the first world, so. Despite them being a new and interesting concept when they were introduced in New Super Mario Bros. DS, the world themes have kind of gotten stale as they've kept on being reused and reused and reused. I mean, for years now we've been stuck with grasslands, desert, beach, forest, snow, mountain, sky, and lava. Heck, some of those were even used in previous games before the New Super Mario Bros. Series. So one of the biggest things I would like to see introduced in a new Super Mario Bros. Game is Just add some new worlds, man. Look, I get you can't remove some of them, okay? Grasslands, that's been a standard in Mario games. Same with lava being where Bowser is, but can you at least introduce some new ones along the way? Or if you're just gonna reuse the levels you've already done, at least introduce some new concepts to them. Like sure, stick to having desert levels, but maybe have half of them take place in a giant pyramid or something. You know, maybe some old temple. Have a forest level inside of a big tree, like in Super Paper Mario or something. You know, just new, interesting ideas. Cave level, chuck some crystals in there. A beach level, on fire, because why not? Or maybe, following along with the enemy fusions route, you can make level fusions. Have the beach levels, but mixed with the forest levels where there's poison everywhere, or have the mountains, but they're covered in snow, which is quite generic, but still. Or you can mix the desert and the snow world together, which is incredibly generic, and has been done a bajillion times before, but it's still something that's different and new to the series. Mix grasslands and the sky, so your first starting location is up in the Sky Islands, because why not? New Super Mario Bros. U almost had this. At the start of the game, you get thrown from Peach's castle way away. Now, what they could have done is you could have had so the game starts in reverse order, where you start off in the lava world, then your grass worlds are your hardest ones. But they didn't. The reuse of worlds is probably the biggest complaint the new Super Mario Bros. Series has going towards it, so even just this one thing out of this list of fixes they could do, out of this list of things I'd want to see, would make a lot of a difference. New Super Mario Bros. For the DS introduced 3 new power-ups, these being the Blue Shell, which, while fun in the Versus mode, wasn't exactly great in normal levels, the Mega Mushroom, which was the key thing featured on the box art and the advertisement despite the fact that it only appears properly in like 4 levels, and you can't even use it in a lot of them because the ceiling's too low, so it just goes, oh, nope, never mind, and the Mini Mushroom, which was the most versatile and useful of the 3, which is why it's appeared in more games since. We brought back one of these and a spiritual successor to the other. The Mini Mushroom came back, and I think this is the one where they introduced where you can run on water or run up walls with it. Running on water was on the DS. If this wasn't the one where they introduced running on walls with it, it was Wii U, but who cares, all the same game anyway. The Penguin Suit acts as a kind of spiritual successor to the Blue Shell, controlling much better and having features of the Ice Flower mixed into it. Speaking of which, the Ice Flower, yeah, we did not only bring back some of them, well, one of them spiritual successor, but also had new power-ups such as Ice Flower. Now, Ice Flower was technically seen in Mario & Luigi Partners in Time, but it works completely different here. Here you get to freeze enemies, and you pick them up in a really annoying way. Like, hold down one and shake the rear remote to pick it up, it just does not make sense to me. And they also brought in the propeller hat mushroom thing. Shake the rear remote to do a big spin, and then you can drill down. Yeah. You could look at this as a replacement for those spinning platforms seen in DS, or you couldn't. It's up to you. 2 brought back the leaf. I'm pretty sure it had the Mini Mushroom, it had the Mega Mushroom back, as well as all the normal ones you expect. The only thing it newly introduced really was the gold mushroom. No, not mushroom, fire flower thing. Mario turns gold, he throws fireballs, it turns things into gold, you get a lot of coins. Yay. These would only last to the end of the level and didn't exactly have much use or purpose. And then we make it to New Super Mario Bros. U, which introduced the Acorn, which was just the propeller one again, but slightly worse. I mean, sure, you could cling onto walls now, but that isn't exactly enough of a new thing, you know? This game brought back the Ice Flower, the Penguin Suit, I'm pretty sure, it brought back the Mini Mushroom, it brought back just everything really, except for the shell and the Mega Mushroom. So of course, for the next new Super Mario Bros. Game, I'd like to see them introduce more power-ups, and for them not to suck or be really similar to ones we've already gotten. I want to see some weird ones. Okay, like what about a grappling hook Mario or something like that, where it clings onto things? Or what about an orb thing, which bounces off of enemies so you can't stomp on them, but it does allow you to have a lot more mobility? You know, just something strange, something weird, but, you know, something that doesn't suck. Not only that, but I'd also like to see a lot of the power-ups return, but only the ones that are really useful, really. You do not need the Ice Flower and the Penguin Suit in the same game. The Penguin Suit is just the Ice Flower, except you can slide, and it's much, much better. Not only that, but you also don't really need the Ice Flower when you have the Fire Flower. Like, sure, you can kill some enemies they can before, such as Dry Bones, but bring that back the Propeller Mushroom, or the Acorn. Not both, because they serve practically the same purpose. Bring back the Mini Mushroom, as it adds entirely new options for levels and stuff like that. And maybe even make it so you have to beat bosses again with it, so that way you can, you know, find secret worlds. Okay, maybe not worlds, maybe just make it so it's a secret level or two, because having entire worlds stuck behind beating this one boss or this one power-up wasn't exactly the wisest idea introduced in DS. I'm pretty sure this idea started way back in Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, which is a sequel apparently, just like how Wario Land 1 is technically Super Mario Land 3. Bowser growing big. You know, you think you've defeated him, but up he goes, and he's large. It's gotten annoying. This has been seen in so many different games now, not even just in the new Super Mario Bros. Series, it's been seen in so many other of the games. Heck, they even kind of make fun of it in Mario & Luigi Bowser's Inside Story. Yep, there's a reference of it for the day. It's no longer surprising when you think you've beaten Bowser, but then, oh, he's big. You know, I'm pretty sure the first game we saw this in the new Super Mario Bros. Series was Wii, then they brought it back in 2, and then they brought it back in 2 again, and then they brought it back in 3, or Wii U, which is kind of, I don't know, it doesn't make sense. It just isn't interesting anymore, you know? It just takes all the tension away. It's supposed to be this big twist of, oh, you thought you defeated him, he didn't, but it isn't a twist anymore. When you pull the same thing 50 schmillion times in a row, you know, people are gonna grow wise of it eventually. Maybe for once have it so something different happens. You know, you've beat Bowser, and then Kamek comes on and is like, oh, I'm gonna do something funny, and then you're like, oh, he's gonna turn big, but instead he does something else. Give him wings, give him the power from that game, which is something they've already seen in the 3D titles, but I don't care. That's still more interesting than, ooh, Bowser goes big. Star coins are a concept that was introduced in the first new Super Mario Bros. Game. It's an idea that adds a lot more replayability to each level. You know, each level has 3 star coins hidden in it, go find all 3 of them, and they do stuff, I guess. They unlock new levels, different pathways, and most of the time they unlock toad houses, or power-up houses that feel extra spicy. While this is definitely an enjoyable aspect of the games, I kinda wish that they'd replace the star coins with something else. Like, they still serve the exact same purpose and everything, but it's just not star coins, you know? Like, you know how in Super Mario Odyssey, instead of having stars, they have moons, or in Sunshine, they have shine sprites instead of stars? Something like that, where, once again, they serve the exact same purpose, they do the exact same thing, they act in the exact same way, it's just now they are called something different. Maybe make it so Bowser has kidnapped a bunch of toads, and each level has 3 of them hidden. And then said toads will, like, build bridges over to new levels and toad houses and stuff like that, you know? That way it's a lot more of an interesting reason as to why you can't get past these areas because you don't have enough golden coins. Or maybe you could make it so it's some foreign currency or something. Like, maybe the game takes place in anywhere but the Mushroom Kingdom, and they don't accept the coins you find all about the place, they only accept these special ones, and then that's why you can't go into certain areas without paying for it. God, even if they just made it green stars like how they are in 3D World, like, just something different would be nice. Like, I get this is a really small nitpick and all, but it's just something that they could definitely do more with. And even if it's just a small thing, it'll definitely help a lot of people go, yeah, no, this is different to the previous titles. So with that, let's move on to the final point. I've mentioned this once or twice throughout this video, but new Super Mario Bros. DS had a Mario vs. Luigi mode, okay? And it is amazing. I have played it so many times with a good amount of people, just due to how fun it is. In this mode, one person's Mario, one person's Luigi, you can hook up, you don't even need a copy of the game, you just need a DF, or both people have DS. You'll join up, set the rules, how many lives you want to have, none, 3, endless, and endless is probably the actually best one. How many stars you want to collect, how much time, what levels, all that kind of stuff. This mode is incredibly fun to play. Collecting coins to get a good power-up to go get somebody with, or dying to something in the level, which means the other person gets that final star. Just, there's so many memories I have of this that it just doesn't make sense to me why it's never returned. Sure, we've gotten other side modes, and you can play with people now in the future titles and normal levels, but I don't understand why they haven't brought this back specifically. And I feel this mode would work especially well on Switch, considering the fact that, you know, 2 Joy-Cons, slide one off, one person slides the other, go up against each other. I mean, sure, it takes away half the fun if you can just screen peek and go, oh, they've got 7 coins, they might get a big mushroom or something like that, but still. Introduce online. Just do it, man. I would love to play this mode online with random people in new Super Mario Bros. Game. And also introduce more level variety, because in the original game, I'm pretty sure he had one for every type of level, I believe. Well, we're missing like lava and sky and a bunch of other ones, but the big main ones you'd think of were there, other than desert. And there's also a pipe one, which, yeah. This mode could really be expanded in a new title with a bunch of new power-ups, so you can have different level settings where sometimes you only have these ones or you have only these ones. You could increase or decrease the frequency of like stars and giant mushrooms and stuff like that. Maybe you could make it so the star coin replacement that I was talking about would actually add to this mode, where the more of them you collect, the more new levels you can have, or more power-ups. Maybe you can make it 100% reward to get a special power from this. Like, you know how in Super Mario Maker 2, where you can get the Super Ball Flower? You know, maybe something like that, where, oh, now you unlock this power-up from the game. Maybe you could even allow if each character to have a different control scheme. Like, have Luigi actually jump higher and be slippery in this mode, against Mario who's all normal. And hey, maybe even have it so you can play as Peach in this. I mean, if it's just some side mode, maybe once you beat the game, you're allowed to use her now, where she's got the floaty and all the stuff they saw in Super Mario Land 2. Not Land, Super Mario Bros. 2. Oops. Have Toad be there and have him be the one that runs fast and jumps low, I guess, that nobody wants to play, but you're gonna be stuck with him. You could even take it even further and have Wario and Waluigi there. They won't be. But you could. Even if they're just to bring it back in its simplest form, the way we saw it in New Super Mario Bros. DS, it would still be amazing. So, there you go. That is everything I would like to see in a new Super Mario Bros. Game. What do you think? I have honestly really enjoyed the series despite how increasingly generic it is and how little they introduce in each subsequent sequel, so this video is definitely coming from a fan of the franchise more than somebody who hates it, while still also hating it. Do comment down below what you would actually like to see in future titles from the series, which there's probably going to be future titles. Do you agree with all my points? You better! They're all correct! Like the video if you want to return to it, which I don't know why you would want to return to this video, but hey, you do you! And do subscribe if you've seen 2 of them at this point, because if you've watched 2 videos from somebody, then you must enjoy them to some extent. Especially if one of those videos is the Mario Movie Leaks 2 one, because that video is like an hour long and also has 4.2 thousand views. Speaking of which, I just want to quickly say thank you for that, because I was not expecting this to do nearly as well as the first one, but here we are. I mean, the video's good, but I didn't think it was that good. Like, it's currently going at the rate of roughly 1,000 views a day. 1,000 a day. That is not something usually expected for a channel of almost 150 subscribers, which, speaking of which, I have gained a bunch of them, those subscribing people, in the last couple days, so if you are one of those new ones watching this, hi, thank you. Chances are you probably don't know me in real life, so you're actually coming here not out of pity, but because you somehow enjoy this content, so thanks for that. Anyway, this little ending bit has gone on for a tiny bit too long, just a tiny bit, just a smidge too long, so I'm gonna cut it off here before I continue to go on about how amazing it is to have that many views and subscribers in the past couple days, so bye bye.